We are here with legendary wide receiver Herman Moore to talk Lions and Atlanta Falcons. How you doing today, Herm?
You know what? I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
Oh, I am living the dream and really excited to talk Lions and Falcons. But before we get into that, what happened with Lions in Seattle? Lions take that L. What should the Lions do to improve?
Well, it's always the easy answer is to score more points. I mean, that's the easy one. But I don't think it's a lot of people looked at the Lions. Okay, to be 1-1 at this point, not many people thought they would beat Kansas City, and they thought they would beat Seattle. Well, they beat Kansas City and they lost to Seattle. I think they should be 2-0. I don't think many are going to disagree with that. Seattle came in, and I don't think they were the dominant team. The Lions had the opportunity; they had everything moving in their favor, and unfortunately, they let it slip away. I think there's some questionable things that perhaps you can look at that was done on their end. There was also the fact that they didn't meet the challenge when it needed to be at the pivotal parts of the game. But I'll say this: defensively, they had some struggles. There were some things that we saw that they didn't have the week before offensively, that they were able to go and put up points and score points. And when you solve one problem, but then you create another one, it doesn't balance out. And I think ultimately that was the downfall for them in that football game.
Yeah, and it was a home game. It really stings to lose at home, especially the home opener. But we have another chance to win. Home again, Atlanta Falcons come in here. They're 2-0. They got a really good rushing attack. They got a good defense. When you look at Atlanta Falcons defense, is the challenges that's going to be for Jared Goff in this offense?
Well, defensively, is going to be the fact that they are very sound in their techniques. They're very sound in the fact that they bring consistent pressure. The other thing I like when you look at Atlanta, their secondary they play instinctively. They play well together as a unit. Because of that the Lions are going to have to earn their way in to the end zone, and they're going to have to make sure they capitalize on any scoring opportunities. So, when I say that, it means if there's a field goal to be had, maybe you have to take the field goal, and not think that every time you get there, there's going to be easy points. The Lions also, I think, where they're going to be problems is the fact that they won't allow. I think they're going to try and bring containment. So Jared Goff won't have an opportunity to do anything except stand in the pocket and pass. I think stepping forward will lead to some problems with the pressure that they get and the push they'll get up front. Even though the Detroit Lions have a really, really good offensive line, Atlanta still brings some athleticism from the outside edge, but also I think they have good push from their middle interior linemen that create issues for quarterbacks, especially when they're in the pocket. The lanes may be there running the football, but right now the Lions are going to have to figure out a way to stop that pass rush, because I don't know if they're going to be able to get those 5 and 6 yards running the football that leads them in that short down and distance that allows them to throw the more conservative passing game. So the Lions may have to earn their way down the field by completing, 3rd and 7, 2nd and 9 situations.
And you just talk about that earning away, and it's going to be tough to run the football because David Montgomery is not going to be playing in this game. We're going to have Jahmyr Gibbs. What should the Lions do to get him part of this run game, get him going? We drafted him with the 12th pick. We need this guy to really step up in this game.
But one, they're going to need to have him be a little bit more productive, especially in the passing side of it. A few opportunities they threw his way. I know it was one or a couple that weren't complete that had the opportunity to be completed. With Gibbs, I think that the power in his running will give them the ability, if he gets outside, to make it, typically that first guy miss or be a problem bringing him down. But when they gain tackle, that's where the Lions got to do a better job. The receivers on the outside are going to have to give them opportunities to have one-on-one against some of the secondary or the safeties or even linebackers. But it's really going to come down to how the Lions will use their control passing attack. They're very good at the possession style, which I think Atlanta's going to try and play on. And that's going to help the running game, because as they stuff the middle and they bring guys up to play that, I think there's opportunity for Raymond and perhaps for Josh Reynolds to get deep and downfield one-on-one with some of the corners, or even get behind the safeties.
Speaking of Josh Reynolds, he has been a breakout player so far this year in 2 games, making big plays for Jared Goff. What is he doing to get open and really get the separation to make big plays for the Lions offense?
Well, one, he's playing with speed. He has that ability. He has some size and height. But more importantly, it's finishing the routes. We don't talk that much about how receivers finish routes. We typically look at them and how they compete and go after competing for passes against the secondary. But it's really seeing a receiver, will he complete the route all the way through, whether it's the first zone and they have to hit that second zone or that second level in the pass. And depending on where they are, can they hit that landmark that's needed and be there where the quarterback knows that they need to be at a very specific and given time. Josh Reynolds, what I've seen is he's running through. If he's not that first read, he's finding that secondary window, and then Jared Goff is able to find him. But I like the fact that they're stretching him down the field. They're giving him an opportunity as a playmaker to make plays. That's why we call those receivers who can do that playmakers. It's not just about being possessive style receiving. It's about going out and making plays when they're not there. And he had very good. I mean, you look at the contact that he had on a couple of those, and still holding on to the football. That also saw that he can catch the contested passes.
Yeah, he's been absolutely amazing so far this year, and it's really good to see. Same with this offense, top 10, pretty much every category again. So we now move towards Detroit Lions defense and what they're going to be facing against Bijan Robinson this running game. They're the second best running team in the NFL. They're running about 170 yards a game. What can the Detroit Lions defense do to stop this run? They've been pretty good this year. They're top 10.
Yeah, they're top 10. The Lions will have to make sure their linebackers stay home. That's going to open them up to being having to have some pressure in the secondary. I mean, these guys are going to have to really cover this week. There's capable receivers on the outside. Got a quarterback that can get them the football. So when your linebackers are committing a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage because you're so potent on the running game, that's going to open up those other levels and layers that gives you exposure to bigger plays defensively because the middle becomes very open. If the Lions decide to go with two safeties, that's the only way they can patrol the middle, but it still leaves some very open and soft places in the zone. Do they go man? I think that's going to be a tough challenge, being that they're down one of their best corners and one of their best defensive backs. Now the Lions have some decisions to make. I mean, do you let them just bleed you by running the football and continuously just pushing that down at you, and then get your defensive line to kind of commit and try and stop that? I don't know if they'll completely be able to shut Atlanta down, but I think trying to slow that down will only lead to Atlanta maybe finding some exposure in the passing game.
You look at this offense for the Atlanta Falcons, their quarterback Desmond Ridder is not even throwing 200 yards pass in a game. He's struggling a little bit in the air. He's only got 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. What can the Lions defense do to make sure that he does not look like, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes or Dan Marino?
Well, it's really the defensive secondary, the coverage, depending on what type of coverage. If it's off coverage, I think Atlanta will throw the smaller and the shorter passes because they're not an attacking passing team, but they do have the capability. They have the ability, if you allow them to run, just like with any team in the NFL. I don't think there's any receivers, whether they're household names or not. If you give them enough time, even against the best corners, the best secondaries, they can make plays. So the pressure up front from the Lions, which wasn't as strong as it needed to be defensively against Seattle, if they don't get pressure and they don't bring that aggressiveness to the table in the passing rush, the passing game, they're going to have some problems. You just can't allow receivers to run free. You can't allow them to run without being pressured at the line of scrimmage and disrupting the passing attack and disrupting timing. But the running game is where I see the wins and the losses for the Lions. That's what I'm going to be counting on more so than worrying about Atlanta's passing. If they can shut that down, that gives them, I think, the favorable edge when it comes to which team will score more points.
We look at Aaron Glenn's defense. What can he do better to get this defense in a better position? Right now, it's pretty much bottom third in every category, 26, 28 out of the NFL, except for the run stuffing. What can he do in this game to get a better production out of this defense?
Well, the defense has to get more opportunities for turnovers, strip sacks. There's got to be pressure. There's just got to be some things you dial up. Committing your linebackers in a little bit more does give you some exposure. But if you can get there to the quarterback, and I think this team has the athleticism and they have the ability along the defensive front and also the edge rushers to get there. And also with the fact that their linebackers have speed, but also, you also have linebackers who have height. There's aggressiveness that they can come with versus sitting back. And I don't think they're going to continue to sit on their heels. I think there was some concern with Lockett and Metcalf with Seattle and not matching those guys up one-on-one too much. But with Atlanta, I think the Lions could take some risk. I think they can take some chances and be aggressive. And I think they need to set the tone and tempo very early in the game by being the aggressor.
So it's Sunday is the game. Lions 1-1, Atlanta Falcons 2-0. Who do you have winning the game? What is your score prediction and why?
I have the Lions winning this game. I don't think it'll be an easy game, but I do believe that if the Lions can get the Atlanta Falcons rushing game under control, they'll be able to score some points. Maybe not a ton against the Atlanta defense, but I think it'll be enough, where Atlanta has to work their way down the field using their rushing attack. The Lions can put some stop on that. It gives them the opportunity to win by a field goal or a touchdown.
Okay, so you got the Detroit Lions winning by a field goal or touchdown, so it's not going to be a blowout game, but it's a win, and that'll put the Lions 2-1. And if you look at the rest of the NFC North, Herm, Chicago 0-2, Minnesota 0-2, Green Bay 1-1. Can the Lions, if they win, do they still have an opportunity to win the NFC North?
They still have an opportunity, but it's just not going to be that easy. I just don't think we can really count on anything being a give me because, as you can see, you can have one injury along a team and a unit, and that could create a whole set of issues that you didn't foresee. And then you start to now have that potentially happen on the offensive side. You see what happens when Amara St. Brown goes down, or you lose you lose your running back. All of a sudden now it changes what you're able to do. So it doesn't take much. It's only 11 guys out there at one time, but all of them are vital. Those are the guys that you've chosen to be your starters for a reason, meaning that you're going to bring in someone that probably isn't as good coming in off the bench, which means you lose something. And that's what I'm going to look and see how do the injuries, how the guys going in injury reserve or being lost for the year, how does that affect this team going forward in certain key positions.
That was it, folks. Herm's got us winning. I have us winning. Let us know in the comment section who you have winning. Put L for Lions, put F for Falcons. Blow up the comment section. Spam it with L's and F's. With that said, folks, adios.